last panel of the day, but in my view, I saved the best for last. So we have with us in this room some of Indonesia's future leaders, under 40, which includes me. I'm not under 40. But can I please invite my panelists to the stage? Pak William, Pak Ian Wirajuda, Putri, and Pak Tyovan. Earlier this afternoon, we had the launch of Dare to Dream. Now, Dare to Dream is an initiative which is going to reach the students, young Indonesians who are still in university, and we just had a panel talking about university education across Indonesia. But there is a gap between the university students and, of course, those who have really established themselves at the very top. That gap is the future young leaders. And I think on stage today we have 4 individuals who really will help us to take Indonesia forward. I think they come from very different backgrounds. Let me just go through their backgrounds. Ian Wirajuda is with the Ministry of Coordinating Ministry of Economics. He is involved in formulating and, in fact, engaging with Indonesia and furthering Indonesia's economic engagement with the rest of the world. And he goes to G20 meetings, in terms of understanding where Indonesia should be. Yes, we are a growing economy. Yes, we have a great market. But what is our position economically vis-a-vis the rest of the world? So that's by Ian. But William Gondokusumo, of course, is the founder of campaign.com. Looks like he has a fan base here. Now, campaign.com, of course, is a digital campaign company. But very importantly, it is led by William in terms of there is a social mission to campaign.com. So again, and of course, campaign.com has partnered the Indonesia Economic Forum, and I have to say that I'm very honored to partner with William to make sure that the Dare to Dream campaign really takes off and has deep roots. And then, of course, we have Anindya, former Miss Indonesia, but I think more importantly, she is an important voice for youth in sports. She's a spokesman for the Ministry of Youth and Sports. She travels around the world. I can never get hold of her. She is in Singapore one day and I don't know where, and then she arrives here, but I'm glad she's here. And she actually will, give us an idea of what is happening in the sports and youth dimension. And of course, we have Pak Tyovan. Pak Tyovan has a very interesting background. I won't go too deeply into what he actually does, but he comes from the digital computer background. He's the founder of Bahaso, which is a language learning app, which again is very interesting and is very useful and I think very critical for Indonesians because we need to be multilingual. I think in today's world, none of us can survive by just being monolingual. So we're going to have a very interesting discussion. This is a kind of a freewheeling discussion where each of them will kind of give us their vision of Indonesia 2045, where do they think the country should go, and how do they think that they can contribute to maybe achieving the dream that we are about to launch. So I'll start with Ian.
Thank you very much, Pak Shoeb, especially for taking the risk, for having me in this event, Indonesia Economic Forum. Why? Because number one, I'm not an economist, right? Number two, I don't read statistics. I came from international relations background. I did my master's and PhD both in that field. And, this is, I admire you for taking such a big risk for having me to speak on economic issues. And I'm by training a diplomat, so I would like to first apologize if whatever I'm going to say is rather confusing or vague, because at the end of the day, that's what we are trained to do.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Pa. Going back to your question, 2045, Indonesia will be 100 years old, right? There are so many reasons for us to be optimistic. In terms of populations, in 2045, we're looking at 318 billion.
Million.
Million. See, I got that wrong already. And in terms of productive age, we will have around 212 million people, meaning 66% of our population will be in our productive age. In terms of economic growth, we are predicted to have 6.4 growth by 2045. And GDP, we're going to rank 4th with around 20,930 US dollars. Right. So we have all the reasons to be optimistic, but we should not take that for granted. I think I would like to emphasize the followings for us to succeed in 2045. We have to be strong and stable domestically and active internationally. Okay, let me just elaborate on that just a little bit. Strong and stable domestically. Okay. We need to ensure that our democracy is solid. We cannot take the risk for our society to be divided. In fact, we should take and we should see our diversity as an asset. So that's what I meant by strong and stable domestically. There is no turning back, but we are already a democracy. There's no turning back to be a non-democratic regime. And active internationally. Indonesia is an open economy, right? We are a member of the G20. We deserve it. Okay? We did not apply for that. We were asked back in 1999, and eventually we participated in the Leaders Summit in 2008 for the first time, and then kita tidak pernah berhenti sampai sekarang. Right? And Indonesia is one of the largest world economy. And I think this is, one of the important things. We are now an emerging country, and with that, we can play a balancing role between the interests of the industrialized countries and the developing countries. So that is one of the reasons why we should, play our active role internationally. And last but not least, let me just quote that our foreign policy principle is bebas aktif, right? Meaning that you're independent in determining your position towards certain issues, and you have to active internationally, contributing to world peace and economic development and human capital development as well. So I think those are the prerequisites, if you wish, for us to make it for us to be relevant in 2045.
Thank you. So basically, an active foreign policy. The whole concept of, I think, alignment, as we saw during the Cold War, is over.
Yeah.
So it's it's really. But I think what Indonesia will really have to do is stake its position strongly in international forum. William, you are very much involved in what do you call it, furthering social causes. You work with companies who have a social mission. Why is that important, do you think, in terms of where Indonesia is and where it's going?
Thank you, Shoeb. And I also would like to thank Shoeb and also Sachin, the founders of the Indonesia Economic Forum, for starting the Dare to Dream campaign. So a strong belief that we have is the social mission in companies, in organizations, in governments, and in every individual. Because what we see is that in 2045, Indonesia, 60% is under the age of 30. The ones who decides what the country is going to look like are the youths. Literally the ones who can't vote today, still in school. And we talk a lot about like schooling system not teaching what the skills they need for the future. But if we think back when we were in school, we also didn't feel as though we were learning what we needed, right? Education has always been a process, something that we go through and we figure out. So this evolution of the youth, how we evolve to be able to come together today, is something that is always consistent. And students are already starting to recognize this, companies are also starting to recognize this, and are already evolving. And one of these evolutions is the identifying of the social mission as being called to who they are, right? In which it's no longer just enough to have good grades. You must also volunteer, you must also start organizations. It's no longer enough just to have the best product. You must be responsible to your employees, you must be responsible to the environment. So this evolution that's already happening, students are already starting to do it, and you start seeing it in terms of the jobs they're doing. We talk about entrepreneurship, we think of businesses, companies, but how about celebgrams? People who take pictures on Instagram and then for travel, food or fashion, and they earn a living. Those are also entrepreneurs. And they didn't no one told them that's a job. No one told them that's a business. The youth evolved and discovered it. And they became their own entrepreneurs, and they were following their passions. And they take photographs of different causes. So as we see the importance of the social mission, I see it as the next evolution of how Indonesia will look like in 2045, in which people who are authentic about it, who identify themselves, and who form a community around themselves, are those who can succeed, and those who can be able to influence how the country will look like. Yeah, so, and back to our campaign, why I deeply admire your vision around it and going to the schools, and one thing I'm excited about is that who knows, as we go to schools, we talk to them, we challenge them just to share their dreams, whatever they are, we can glimpse about the what's next. How are they going to decide Indonesia will be like? Because although we are like the youth right now, we're already considered current gen. We're not next gen anymore. You know? The next gens are the ones who are going to decide how the country will look like. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Thank you very much, William. I think, yeah, the social element of our society today is becoming increasingly important. And this is especially the environmental aspect of it, because Indonesia has a very rich natural heritage. And we want to make sure that in future generations will continue to enjoy the national heritage that we have been blessed with. Maybe I move on to Anindya. I think you are what William just described. You know, you don't really have a job, but you are an entrepreneur. In a sense that, I think, what do they call you, a social influencer or a digital influencer? But you're also very involved in youth and sports. Could you maybe share with us a little bit of your experience so far in your journey as a young leader? And where do you think, how do you think Indonesia can move forward, especially in the areas that you are involved in?
Yeah, thank you, Pak Shoeb, for the opportunity. Yeah, actually, I just started working with the Minister of Youth and Sport in June 2017. So he asked me to join the ministry because my background actually. So I was a badminton athlete when I was a kid, and then I was actively involved in a couple's youth international organization, and also I was the alumni of a youth exchange program from sponsored by the government itself that come from Kemenpora actually. Yeah, through my journey, I realized that what will make Indonesia grow and get a new path in 2045 is that I started to be mingle with everyone when I was in the school. I was a quiet girl, very quiet, until I forced myself to enable myself to talk with a lot of people, meet a lot of people, and then I started to attend a lot of networking events, to collaborate with another youth. That's what we need actually. Like the current situation that I work now in Ministry of Youth and Sport, I found like some of my friends who are youth, they also work in a couple of ministry in Indonesia. So a lot of youth actually work at the ministry, and then we collaborate, we synergize to talk about what can we do together. That's a good thing to start when I found like a couple of my friends start to have the same mindset, the same vision together. And then that's how you work. Like the last time Pak Jokowi invited the CEO of Gojek and the CEO of Ruang Guru to Istana to have a meeting with all the ministers together and talking about the education. Actually, our president also acknowledge and also appreciate to give them opportunity, to give youth opportunity to talk about our opinion, and then hopefully the output of the meeting also will be implemented in the future. It shows that a lot of youth outside that they really care about the future of Indonesia, especially the education itself. And talking about sports, this theme actually align with what our minister already done. So this year, we already visited 34 provinces in Indonesia with 90 cities and also more than 800 villages to hold an event about sports. So we encourage the villagers to do sports. So in the next few years, in Indonesia, we can find that potential youth, potential kids in couple of sports that maybe they can be the future of world champion for Indonesia. So every year, we try to engage and encourage the villager and the people from west to east Indonesia, the new village, the new kabupaten and cities, like even the small village, to have the basic knowledge about the sports, about the easy sport, cheap sports, and then we try to unleash their potential.
Thank you very much. So I think sports is a very important part of motivating and inspiring youth, yeah, and sports heroes are always great role models for youth. Tyovan, I think amongst all of us, you are probably engaged in an industry which is really the future. Yeah, can I share with the audience the fact that you have an underside to you, he actually understands. I don't understand, but he understands this whole world of hacking. So if you want to know about how you can hack into something, you can talk to him. Yeah, but having his background is interesting because it allowed him to understand this whole new world. which is very critical to Indonesia's development too. So maybe if you can share with us a little bit about your background, how you got into this, why did you create Bahaso, and where are you going with it?
Okay, thank you Pak Shoeb for this opportunity, and also Mbak Sari. It's unbelievable I can sit here together with all of you and also with the audience. I'm originally from Wonosobo. I don't know if you know where is it. So it's in Central Java, if you know Dieng. And I was in the first year of my high school, and I'm typically of the rebel student because I hate to be in the class for the day. And yeah, because I love the technology, and then I learned technology when I was in the high school, and then I remember that the first time I learned to learn a computer, I learned how to hack, and then yeah, it's bring me to be a hacker, and then yeah, I remember at the time I was hacked one of the e-commerce platform in Netherlands, and I got a lot of credit cards numbers. And
Hey, you see what I mean? This is the future.
And yeah, because I see that internet is the future at the time, so that's why in Wonosobo even warnet, we have only 2 warnet in Wonosobo and costly 10,000 rupiah per hour. Even I have no computer, so because I came from my parents is just they have the small restaurant jualan kupat tahu. So I have no computer, and then I use the computer in my schools, and I learned how to hack. And then after 1 year, it's make me boring. So that's why I started to take another step. In the second year of high school, I created the Wonosobo, a platform that informed to all Wonosobo people to get update on the news. And also we have the project. We had the project at the time, project that we want to promote Wonosobo in my city to the world through internet. Because when I said to the people, even in the local government, I want to promote Wonosobo, and I need the data to put on my platform, on my portal. And I remember ada ibu-ibu gendut satu yang she said that what is the web, what's the portal, and what do you want to get the data from the government to put your portal. And then yeah, I started to explain about we need the portal to promote Wonosobo in terms of promoting the tourism in Wonosobo. And then yeah, we faced difficulties at the time, and yeah, it's not easy for me. And then in the second year of my high school, I started my own company. The name is Femobo. So Femobo is the first time and the only one IT company in Wonosobo. And also we have so many projects. And after that, I have the money, and then I can continue my education to university. And then I came to Jakarta and started my study in Binus University, and I took computer science. And the life changed since when I moved here, because I met with a lot of people, and I met with a lot of profiles. I learned from them, and then I remember in 2010 I met with Takeshi Ebihara. So he is one of the first investor of Bukalapak, and I learned from him. We went together in Bandung, in Jogja, to see the digital ecosystem, because at the time in 2010, that was the first movement of the digital industry berkembang. Jadi, I still remember. And then in 2015, after I came back from Silicon Valley, so I was in the innovation competition in Stanford University, and I started to finish my thesis. So my thesis was Bahaso, which is my company now, and then because I see many people in Indonesia, they cannot speak English, including me. So that's why I learn English in my platform. So because I know this is the big problem in Indonesia. If we talk about the globalization, masyarakat ekonomi ASEAN, and it is important that people in Indonesia to have the ability to acquire the foreign languages, especially in English. So that's why now me and my team in Bahaso, we want to solve this problem, and we help. And now we have 350,000 students around Indonesia that they want to learn English in our platform. And yeah.
Thank you very much. For those of you who don't speak English as well, you can see from Tyovan that he actually speaks English very well. So get on to Bahaso immediately. Now, having heard from these four very amazing individuals, you can understand why we want them to be the role models for the youth of Indonesia. So may I just ask each of you a simple question? What would be your message to the university students today who are studying in university? We have a lot of sessions the whole yesterday and today talking about the future. Should they be getting an education, a traditional education, or should they be thinking about doing something different? How should they be preparing for jobs in the future that don't exist today, right? I mean, what would be your message to them? Maybe I start from the other side. Tio first.
As a student.
So what would be your message to today's students?
Okay.
So having your experience and knowing what the future might bring, what would be your message to them?
So the message is that what we want to bring is we need to be brave people. I mean, like, because when I was in Wonosobo, I was surrounded by the people that they don't have motivation, because they feel that we are from the villagers, we are from the small city, and then like we feel fears to compete with the other people. So this is one of the big problem that we face in the for the young people in small cities like me. So that's why we want to bring them that keberanian mean apa? They need to be courage to do something, because it is important for them. So that's why I frequently speak about to inspire them, to engage them, that we need to be courage for everything.
Thank you, Anin.
Yeah, my message will be, because when I was struggling until now, like I'm quiet girl and not talk too much. So it must be, when you dream, start with a little action. Because if you talk too much without an action, so it's nothing. A lot of people try to show off, like they can talk a lot, they can show off what their capability, but it doesn't matter like how smart you talk, but it matters how much your action. So talk less, do more.
Very well put. William.
My advice to the students would be, yes, prepare for the future. You can learn programming, do networking for social media. All these are unconventional things, so prepare for the future. but be mindful of the present. Yes, the paper is important, especially university students. You're already in the school, just get the paper, you know, but prepare for the future.
Well done. Ian.
I think it's very straightforward about my message. Respect differences, right? Because we are a country, we are a big country that consists of more than 300 ethnicities, more than 17,000 islands, with more than 700 local languages and dialects. So this is given. Right? We have to respect, tolerate differences, and you just have to accept that we are different. We cannot build our economy if we keep on fighting with one another. Right? So you have to create that conducive environment for the economy to develop. And I think we can start by acknowledging differences, respecting them, and work together. Just like four of us, we come from different backgrounds, right? You have digital economy players, you have former Miss Universe Indonesia who is now working with the government. You have Pak William working also on e-commerce, social campaign, and myself. We're not the same, but we can work together, right? Jadi kita tidak sama, tapi kita kerjasama. I think that's the motto is very relevant to be implemented and to be remembered by the younger generations.
Thank you. I think they need a round of applause for. I think this really epitomizes the strength of Indonesia and why we are so optimistic about Indonesia. Each of them has a different message, but each equally powerful. So I thank you very much for sharing that with us. Are there any questions from the floor at the moment, or anything that you would like to share with our young future leaders? Sari, do you want to ask them anything? By the way, Sari is the co-founder of the Young Leaders Forum, the Young Leaders Under 40 Forum, which we hope next year will be much more of an integral part of the Indonesia Economic Forum. I've also challenged them to initiate a program. And I think with working together with the Indonesian Economic Forum, hopefully we can initiate, just like how we initiated Dare to Dream, we can initiate something. And I think I agree with Anin, even if it's small, do something. And that's what I really want to do at Indonesia. We've got to do a few things. Yes, Sari, you have a question? No. Oh, yeah, okay.
I believe that
we'll accept you. Yeah. Okay. I think it's been a long day, but maybe we can quickly wrap up our discussion going forward. In terms of your careers, I know we talked a little bit about earlier, about how future jobs are going to change. The one thing we all agreed on throughout both yesterday and today is that Indonesia is a land of opportunity. But realizing that opportunity takes hard work. One of the comments was made earlier that everybody talks about Mark Zuckerberg and how he dropped out of school and became a billionaire. It's like almost automatic, yeah. But there was one interesting comment made about how actually the most successful people finish their education, get some work experience, yeah, and then set out on your own to be an entrepreneur, So from your experience, in terms of working, having gone to school and having worked, how important is that message to young people saying that, it's not that easy? Although everybody thinks that, wow, a great opportunity and I can just sit back and I'll be successful. So your journey to the success, is important. So maybe you can share a little bit about some of your struggles. What did you struggle with personally in this journey? You know, I mean, you're all successful now. You've arrived at a certain position, at a certain, how do I call it, a certain place in your life where you're here, right? But I'm sure it's not been an easy path. Maybe you can, so that we, you know, the young people understand that, yes, there is a little, you know, I like what theory, there's a bit of brani, you got to fight a little bit. It's not that easy. So maybe I start with Ian.
You know, I came from a civil servant family. Right? Both my parents, they emphasize a lot on education. Very important for the children to obtain the best education as possible. So on that note, I think we should never stop learning, because from there we can get to wherever we are and wherever we want. So I think betul bahwa pendidikan atau buku is the window to the world, right? Education is the window to the world. That's number one. And then number two, I don't know whether I should be calling my current status as successful, because, you know, I would put probably moderately successful. And, you know, something that I learned from my empirical experience is that when you are on certain positions, when you are at the leadership positions, you can be a leader of 2, of 3, of 4, of 5, or of thousands, right? Try not to give a life sentence to your to your team. Yeah. Jangan jadi don't put their career to an end, right? Because you never know. One day in the future you might need them, and this is what I'm emphasizing in the office. I work with you know, with just one staff, and you know, we call it a team. And we exercise, you know, exchange of ideas in an open environment. My staff can criticize me, and I can give, of course, I can give inputs to her because I'm the boss, right? But, you know, the message is just be kind to your team. You never know where this is going to lead you to.
Well said. William?
I think I share a lot of the same advice in the sense that the importance of education. I still remember when I was like about 9 years old, I told my parents everything I was studying was irrelevant to what I want to do in the future. You know, it's entrepreneurship and everything. Then my dad just answered, he's like, even if it's true, right? If I was to give you $10 to hop on one foot for 100 times, will you do it? 9-year-old boy, I said, yeah. Then it's like, even if education is useless, society put that as a role, as a task. So you should just do it. Just do it, but don't equate education as the end of learning. Get the education, do what needs to be done, but keep learning about what you're passionate about. If you love business and finance, start reading about business things, no matter how young you are. If you love computing, go learn how to code and everything. So for me is, don't be demoralized just because what you're learning in school isn't according to what you want. Do it just to fill the time, and use the opportunity, use the computer in the school, use the networks and the friends, you know, use the lessons learned or the time given to explore and discover yourself and evolve. Yeah? And that will be a nice process.
Thank you. Anin?
I can say it's really very tough moment for me. Like when I was kid, I told you I was a badminton athlete, but my father he didn't want to come to my competition, until I became a champion. So he only came when I become the champion. And then my father is really disciplined. He's really very strong will for what he wanted, and taught me a lot of things. But we fought a lot as well. So he wanted me to focus on education, but like you said before, that we cannot just learn from the school. We need to. I love the words that people say, learning by doing. So I decided to join badminton, and then I decided to actively involve in an international organization. But then my father didn't like it. So he tried to stop me from what I'm doing outside school. He only wanted me to focus on education at school. Then I keep doing it until he found me like sneaking around. And then, yeah, I never talked to him because he always stopping me from what I love to do. And then until I get a lot of network around the world through the organization, it helps me a lot to talk to public, to have international mindset, to work with international people. And then I want to go to higher level, then I joined exchange program that sponsored by the government. So when I asked permission to my dad, he also reviews. You need to finish your study first, then you can go for exchange. I can deal with that. So I keep go for exchange without his permission, but my mom already gave permission, so I will go because my mom let me go. Then in the next year, it happened again. I asked permission to my dad, I want to go for Miss Universe from Indonesia. And he refused it, like, you need to finish your university first, get your bachelor degree, then you can go whatever you want. Get a job and settle. I can deal with that again. So I follow my heart that this is what I love, this is what I need. This is the learning that will change my life. I need to try it or never. So with my mom permission again, I go for it. I go for it, and then now I become Putri Indonesia. And then the life-changing moment is when I finished my reign as Miss Universe Indonesia. Then I got bullied by a lot of Indonesians because I'm really boyish. I'm not a model. I was athlete. Can you imagine an athlete walk in the runway in the Miss Universe? It's just a dream of all the girls. Like, it's impossible, but then I make it possible. That I came to USA and I become a top 15. Because I learned from zero to hero. I learned from zero. I learned from everyone. I never underestimate people. I never judge people. Oh, they are bad. They are just like this. I learned from all the alumni, all the government, even the private, my network. So the key is that the key of my success is just to be courageous. You need to be courageous. You need to be brave to fail. You need to be brave to break your limit. You need to be brave to face something new. That's the key success.
Wonderful. I think we need to. I'm a parent, I have two daughters, I don't know what they will say one day when I say, no, you can't do that. But I think what you have shown is that when you follow your passion, ultimately the people who love you most will always come around because they believe in you. Tio.
My father thought that he wants me to be become the optimist person. So that one, my greatest lesson from my father. And then in 2045, that I believe that we will live in the era that uncertainty. So, but three things that I want to share, that if you now have a children now, maybe your children sekarang di TK or di SD. So three things that you want to share, that the first thing that we need to have the ability of adapt the new situation. So this is the important things that we need to have in the future. And the second is that rapid learning, because I can hack everything because I have ability to learning faster. And then the third one is that please don't fear about your future, because many of us, kita semua itu ketakutan terbesar manusia is that masa depan, future. So jangan takut akan masa depan kalian, just believe, optimis that kita bisa menghadapi masa depan. That's the case. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to give you one last opportunity to ask a question. Okay.
I must say it's interesting to see so many perspectives here, especially from young minds. But my only question to all of you, because you're all doing so well, since morning we've only been talking about how the world is progressing and how we need to be at pace with how the world is changing. But is it a concern to any of you, especially because all of you are leading, is it a concern to any of you that with the fast pace of technology, we're literally losing human touch? We're only involved in technology and the growth and in-depth, going in depth in that direction. But is it a concern to any of you as leaders that you could walk into a restaurant, see a family of 5 people, and they're not interacting, they're on their phones? Is that even a concern when we're talking about rapid growth and digital world ahead, and even Indonesia 2045?
Thank
Is
you.
that even a concern? That's my question.
Good question. We'll go around. Maybe I'll start with Anin.
Yeah, it's very interesting questions. Actually, I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid. Because when I was sitting on the restaurant with my friends, or we traveled together, and then one of my friends took a picture of us, and then me and the other friends just play with the phone without saying anything to each other. It's just scary, man. So scary, and then I realized that I talk to myself, I need to control myself with technology. Technology is it can be a positive influence in the future, because we can do a lot of things with technology, but at the same time, it can be a challenge for us, because we lose the social communication with the people around us. And that what people need to realize, that we need to control ourselves. There is a moment that when we need technology, to use technology, and there is a moment when we need to talk to people around us, especially with family.
Well put. William.
Yeah, the unintended consequences of technology, something that I found very interesting was the difference when you take notes, when you write it, and when you type it. When you type it, you tend to go verbatim. Whatever they say, you type it down. But when you write, you tend to explore and jot down your own thoughts. And they did this study with students who started off their lives typing. Right? So there's already the kind of unintended consequences in which new ideas kind of don't develop itself. But on that note, my family is always all over the place, and our WhatsApp group kind of ties us a lot together. I remember pre-WhatsApp group and after WhatsApp group, the family has gotten closer, in which it was easier just to share updates to each other. And I remember when my dad sent his first picture to us on the golf game, and we're the siblings group, of course, were what is going on?
Yeah.
Is that okay? And now we get it quite regularly and everything. So there is that thing, and I agree exactly what you say. We just have to be mindful about it. Be very mindful about it, not just in our own families, our own lives, but as leaders, how we structure our companies, how we give input, or how the government runs it. right? It has to come together.
Ian?
I think there should be a certain level of wisdom in treating technology development. And I do agree with you that, growth of IT cannot be at the expense of the decrease in humanities. Right? So, yes, I do have some concerns. And I think what we can do is to start from the smallest unit around our circle, which is family. I'm a father of a 7 months young baby boy, right? And the mother is just over there. We are very much concerned because, babe, I hope you don't mind me sharing this domestic aspects of our life, yeah? But, we're very much concerned because every time, the baby wants to eat, he only wants to eat, whenever an iPad is attached to the meja makan, right? So we're now, still discussing on how to increase the interaction, the social interactions between the baby and the nature, the baby with us, the parents. So, we've come to a decision, okay, iPad is allowed only when he's eating, right? So I think that kind of wisdom is very important in the family. Let's start with the smallest unit. But we're now, to be honest, we're now still struggling on how to defeat the habit of checking out our phone immediately after we woke up in the morning and before we go to sleep at night. So that's, you're okay, yeah, with that, yeah? Okay.
Thank you. Tio?
Yeah, I think we need to travel more and more. We need to have many activities because even for me, sometimes I feel like I need to escape from the digital world. Like sometimes I need to jump into the middle of the forest, enjoy the trees and feel the environment, because I have cousins that, when he wake up and then the things that he looking for is the device, YouTube, and then I see that the children were now their age around maybe 5 until 10 years old, they will become the digital native in the 2045, I think, And then this is, if we kalau kita nggak membatasi, ini akan menjadi menurut saya it will be the worst thing in the future for them.
Okay, thank you very much. I think if I can just summarize, basically technology is part of our lives. How we use it and how we make a benefit from it really will depend on our wisdom and our own human need, right? Yeah, I've seen many families also sitting around a table, everybody's on a phone. And I'm thinking, well, maybe they're WhatsApping each other across the table. You never know. But anyway, I would like you to join me in thanking our panel. These are some four amazing young Indonesians. They have a bright future ahead of them. I thank you very much for being here, for supporting the Indonesia Economic Forum, for supporting our ideals. I think we share those ideals, and I look forward to working with each of you as we go forward. So thank you very much. Will you please join me in a round of applause for four future young leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so